It's December 1st, 2025. Joseph and I are in California, Brea Tar Pits in Los Angeles. You can have this whole town. The traffic is terrible. Let's go see the tar pits, Joseph. These green cones mark the places where there's tar bubbling up out of the ground. Look at it, Joseph. Get a close-up on that. They say a lot of them are real small, like this one, you know, what, a foot in diameter. Some of them are bigger. They find animals stuck in them. You'll see the bigger ones, but the whole area is just bubbling up with tar. Yeah, this is a pretty good-sized area here, probably 2 acres, bubbling up right still today. Yeah. Wanna go swimming? Me neither. Okay, let's go. In this area, Brea Tar Pits, over the years, they have found hundreds of disarticulated, they're no longer together, animals. They're falling apart. The bones are not connected. They're claiming it's 50,000 years ago. This is baloney. Hoven theory would be because there's more than 2 of each kind, this had to happen before the flood or during the flood. See, Noah was in that ark for over a year. He was in there for 7 months before he hit bottom. It says the ark rested in the 7th month. I think Noah's flood took months to kill everybody. And so those that were buried, tar and oil can be made in 20 minutes in the laboratory. Probably some animals that died early in the flood were squeezed under pressure down below 50 or 100, 500 feet of mud. And then they come bubbling up, the oil, and these animals get stuck in there. Some animals went out to eat the carcasses. So I suspect all this happened in the first 6 months of the flood, Joseph. We'll find out. Giant ground sloths, or sloths, I think there are 6 different kinds of sloths today. None of them this big. Something was different before the flood. Watch our video series. But the bones are not articulated, indicating they rotted and fell apart. There, California saber-toothed tiger, they're calling this thing. Quite a few saber-tooths were found here. Obviously, I would suspect that they came here looking for free food from the mammoths that are stuck in the mud, or stuck in the tar. And we'll see the video when we get to heaven, how it really happened. This is the giant sloth, 2-toed sloth, 2-toed and 3-toed sloth, big heavy-duty bones. Everything was living to be 900 before the flood came, so everything got bigger. Whenever you see this word prehistoric, throw it out, okay? There's no such thing as prehistoric. We have history from day 1. God said, let there be light. So they'd be during the flood. There are 4 different types of what we would call in the elephant kind. There's the mastodon, the mammoth, and the African elephant, and the Asian elephant. Asian elephant has small ears, African elephant has big ears. They're both still alive today. Mastodon has a different type of teeth. One of them, the teeth are flat for grinding. Mammoth, from the word mammary gland for women, is a rounded tooth, okay? That's a mammoth and mastodon, way to tell them apart. Otherwise, they're both big, huge, hairy elephants. What's it like to be trapped in tar? Ooh, hey. Need that Russian weightlifter here to do this, Joseph. Yeah. Yeah, if you stepped in one of these tar pits, you'd be really stuck. Wow. Kind of like honey. Only I wouldn't want to eat this. If my research is correct, they did find a woman's skeleton also here, stuck in the tar. So this, again, I think would have to be during the first 6 or 8 months of the flood when this is taking place. Not many human skeletons are found, period, from before the flood. I think because A, they were much bigger and they're not looking for things bigger, they're looking for things smaller. B, humans are smarter than animals. Well, some humans. And they would learn to avoid drowning until the last possible minute. So they tend to end up on top where they would rot or be scavenged rather than buried and fossilized, because they would figure out a way when they realized the flood's coming, they'd make a quick log mat or something to float on. But I think plus there were less humans to be killed. When God made the world, it was full of animals, full of plants, and only 2 people. 1,600 years later, it was still not full of people. I don't know how many there were, but all but 8 of them died. But I think it's logical to, if you believe the Bible, that there would be less humans to be killed, and they'd be smarter and end up on top, and plus bigger. Mrs. Noah's skeleton was 15 feet tall, is the estimate now. This is the lower jaw of a mammoth. We have in our museum some of the mammoth teeth like that. I'll show you when we get back. And also we have a jaw of a baby mammoth like that in our museum. Come see it at Dinosaur Adventureland.
So this is a Colombian mammoth. They lived like 50,000 to 10,000 years.
I would disagree with that, but okay.
Or at least as far as
that's what you're told to say. Yeah.
As our dating goes, that's about as far as it goes. But this is a Colombian mammoth tooth. So they had 4 in their mouths, kind of like a modern elephant.
Right.
Very close related to an Asian elephant. So if you look at an Asian elephant tooth, it looks a lot like this.
Yep.
When you look at a tooth like this, what are some things that you notice?
Well, flat grinding surface,
yeah,
slightly curved to match the top when they grind their food up. Probably plant eating, grind the plants up.
Yeah, of course. So these are plant eaters, a lot like modern elephants.
Right.
But what kind of plants do you think this kind of tooth would be good for? You seem pretty knowledgeable.
I'd say you can chew about anything with one of those. Chew up a car, probably.
Yeah, so these are teeth that are very good for grazing, so like tough grasses and that kind of thing. So if you want a kind of tooth that's better at eating like woody plants, like leaves and things, you're probably better off looking at the mastodon. Mastodons, they have cusped teeth. They're kind of conical and sharp.
Right.
So they're good for shearing that plant matter off of twigs and things like that. So that's one difference that can tell us about how these animals lived.
Okay.
Especially since these two were about the same size, but lived together in the same place at around the same time.
How many mammoths were found in the Brea Tar Pits?
So right now, I think we have about 30 different mammoths.
Okay.
I'm not so sure with the mastodons. I don't think anyone's told me how many we have, but they're more rare.
And then the giant sloth, they found quite a few of those too.
Yeah, so we find mostly the Harlan's ground sloth, which is all the way over there near the entrance. We also have the Shasta's and the Jefferson's ground sloth, which are smaller, a little bit more quadrupedal. But the Harlan's is also the biggest one we have here, and we find mostly Harlan's. Yeah.
Wow. Are they still digging stuff out?
Yeah, we dig stuff here every day. It's an ongoing dig site.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, come see Dinosaur Adventureland.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay.
I'd love to.
Petrified poop, huh? Lift the lid. Giant ground sloth poop. Don't know what this one is. Short-faced bear. And let's see. American saber-toothed cat. Recycled mouse, okay. Western camel and cottontail rabbit. That's why I don't eat Reese's. I don't eat Cocoa Puffs anymore. You can see the skeleton here of a condor, California condor. The breastbone has a big rib sticking out, a ridge sticking out for the muscles to attach to. You'd almost think it was designed for flying if you didn't know better. Look at all these flying birds they find in here. They dig up fossils all the time. Brea condor, Woodward eagle skeleton, vulture, stork. Can't imagine digging out of that tar and trying to clean up the bones and stuff like that. They got to be dedicated. Fragile eagle. I think there are 60 kinds of eagles. They might have had a common ancestor called eagle. Yeah. Another kind of condor. I don't know about that one.
Here when the museum was constructed about 100 years ago, but as of today, we have more than 4,000 of them. 4,000
of the wolf skulls.
Of the dire wolf specimens, and they're unique. And the unique specimens that we have collected. So essentially, the skulls of the animals are the unique specimen that we do find, because there's only one of them. Like if we find a tooth, it's unfortunately not going to be the unique specimen, because we have countless teeth that go into there, similar to like the saber-tooth, American lion, the Columbian mammoth. There's a lot of different specimens that go into
Did they find the whole wolf skeleton?
Yes and no. So with a lot of the tar pits, when the fossils do emerge from them, essentially the earth moves, it shifts, and essentially it brings up a lot of pockets of the tar that's going to be emerging from here or anywhere around the area, and we do excavate whatever is around there. Sometimes it'll be within a small pocket, a large pocket. It's just give or take whether or not we do find these guys here, but essentially we have so many of them just because, for example, if let's say a Columbian mammoth, a baby one, gets caught inside the tar pits, it would start to cry out for its parents, and the parents would come. The parents come, they also get stuck. When they get stuck, they start crying out, they start yelling.
These guys come and eat them.
Exactly, they come in.
Do you find scratches on the bones from these?
So no, unfortunately not, because not only just the Columbian mammoths get stuck, but
they get stuck too.
They get stuck too. But there are cases where if they have sustained trauma, like for example, should take a closer look towards like any of the skulls that we have here. They have broken bones, they have little
broken eye sockets,
eye sockets that could have been done by the earth, but also as well as the actual fossils themselves. They sustain trauma, their skulls are bent, like sometimes the vertebrae sometimes just get bent or misplaced just because they sustain trauma on those particular areas. And essentially when we do have that sort of trauma, it gives us a better idea of how they adapted, how they survived, but also how they healed as well. So it just gives us a good window to not just observe one, but all of them collectively, because they have different survival methods. Sometimes they work in the pack, like we see back here with all the examples of the dire wolves, just most likely running in a pack, just because there were, I want to say apex predators, but they were definitely up there in terms of the hierarchy. just because they were competing against the saber-toothed cat, mountain lions, bobcats, but also the American lion, and I think there was another one, I think the coyote as well, just because all of them have their own preferences when it comes to hunting different types of animals.
Right.
But it just gives us a better idea of how we can imagine and theorize of how these guys lived back during then.
Well, if you've got 6,000 of these skulls, do they sell one or loan one or put it on display at our museum?
So,
who do I see about that?
So we can loan them out. I'm pretty sure
So
we would have to talk to one of the representatives for the museum. I think you can go up to the front, see if you could try to schedule an appointment with one of the curators or with one of the museum attendees to make sure if it's possible to do so, because I'm not 100% sure if it's possible, but
well, you can't put 6,000 on display. So.
Yeah.
This is a replica of the dire wolf, and there's about 8 different kinds of wolves in the world. Probably had a common ancestor called a wolf. And I understand they've been working with DNA and stuff to try to bring it back. I think they claim they brought the dire wolf back. I don't know if that's a good thing to do or not, but they did it. Yeah, they find lots of tiny stuff, insects in the tar, small teeth, freshwater shells. Everything was freshwater at the time of the flood. The oceans have gradually gotten saltier since then, but I don't think Christians understand the importance of fossils to the evolutionist. This is how they justify their religion. They're doing research to support their religion. They've already started with the assumption the Earth is billions of years old. These animals lived millions of years ago. You can't get that out of their head. So if you found a fossil, if you found one of these guys walking around today, they'd say, wow, one survived for millions of years. It would not dawn on them to question their worldview. But they spend millions of dollars digging out fossils, carefully cleaning them, getting research grants and all this kind of stuff. And if you write a book on it, I found a new kind of shell, wow, you'll get a PhD. It means piled higher and deeper is all it means. Anyway, here they are working on some bones here, cleaning them up real good. And in their mind, they're ants, but they're not. They're advancing their religion. There we go, Joseph. This is the way the bones are typically found, just a jumbled up pile. This would be a bunch of dead animals that washed in here at the time of the flood, tar bubbling up from 5 months earlier maybe, and stick them in the tar. Some of them may have died here, but so many are not articulated. The bones are not together. If they were stuck while they're living, they would be trapped and the bones would all still be lined up like they're supposed to be, called articulated. But they're not, so they must have died and been washed in here, like by the big flood. This is real close to the San Andreas fault line. Probably the Earth's crust was cracked and moving around and going up and down, tide coming in, going out. I think I'd like to see the video in heaven, but I think the flood is the only explanation for the formation of the tar pits and the formation of all the thousands of skeletons found in them. Age bear. Hey, the giant ice age bear. Today there are 8 different kinds of bears in the world. They might have had a common ancestor called a bear. It's interesting, most things that they find fossils of are just simply bigger than we have today. Bible says they live to be 900. Maybe there's a connection there. Ow, ow, ow. Pretty cool.
Right next to, you guessed it, the Brea Tar Pits. Seismic activity allowed the oil to make its way up to the surface through cracks in the ground, creating thin plants and animals started getting trapped in the asphalt about 50,000 years ago, and they've continued getting stuck ever since. Which brings us to today, where excavators and scientists work together to explore the jumbled up remains in these asphalt-rich fossil deposits.
The derricks where they drill for oil. In Kilgore, Texas, they had the world's richest acre. 1 acre had 28 oil wells on 1 acre. There was so much oil down there they couldn't pump it out fast enough. Some of it seeping to the surface where the animals get stuck is common sense. Probably that oil is from the animals being buried at the beginning of the flood. The bones are all tangled up, mangled together, jumbled mess. You'd almost think they died, rotted, fell apart, got scavenged, torn apart, and then got buried, like Noah's flood would do. All right, folks, we went to see the Brea Tar Pits, and that is one of many tar pits around the world. Our oil just bubbles up out of the ground, and then the lighter parts of the oil, the gasoline and kerosene, they evaporate and leaving behind a tar-like substance. They're found many places. There's 5 big ones in the world. Maybe you saw the old movie from Beverly Hillbillies. Old Jed was shooting at some food, and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, and he became a millionaire. Well, that happens. This oil was right on the surface. I believe since the Brea Tar Pits have many mastodons, which is a big hairy elephant, that are stuck in the mud. They have dire wolves. They have saber-toothed tigers, but there's multiple. So this had to happen before the flood came, because after the flood, there's only 2 of these critters. So I believe at the beginning of the flood, or maybe before the flood, this was happening. They were getting stuck in the tar, getting eaten. Only 1 human skeleton's been found in the Brea Tar Pits, but there have been others found in other tar pits. We'll do more on the whole series put together in all my spare time. Hoven theory so far is La Brea Tar Pits and the tar pits had to form before or at the early beginning of the flood. The flood lasted a year. Lots of animals could have been buried, and they've learned how to make oil in 20 minutes in the laboratory. So it could be the beginning of the flood was the burial of these creatures. In the next couple of months, they turned to oil, because under pressure, just about anything can turn to oil. They use old tires and all kinds of turkey guts and stuff. I'll cover that in the video. So then the plates of the earth are shifting and moving around, during the flood. And so all these animals are buried and stuck in the tar. And now they're still digging them up. So that's the only reason for saying it had to be pre-flood or during the first 6 months of the flood was because they find more than 2. After the flood, there would only be 2. We'll talk more about that when we get the series together. Come down and visit us at Dinosaur Adventureland. We'd love to have you.